In the spring of 2020, as a pandemic rose to take center stage, theaters everywhere shuttered in the face of pretty convincing evidence that crowding indoors with hundreds of people could maybe cost us our lives. So, what to do? What did we do, ever resourceful artists that we are? Well, for the most part, we reflexively took our theater right into the Zoom box. After all, the Zoom box was the way we were communicating with the outside world. It only seemed natural that if we had artistic ambitions, we should take them with us. Only pretty quickly, it became clear, to me anyway, that there was a problem, a big problem. Several times in the early months of the pandemic, I found myself attending a reading of a new play written by a playwright or a screenwriter who I knew to be exceptionally talented. And yet, without exception, these Zoom readings of new plays were falling flat. Hardly a single moment felt alive. In fact, I would argue that what was happening, what I was witnessing, was new plays being killed by the Zoom platform. Why, I wondered. It took me a few weeks to figure it out, but then it dawned on me one day, of course, eye contact. Because you see, in Zoom, it is impossible for two people to have actual eye contact. And on stage, of course, when you're playing a scene with another actor, eye contact is everything. It's your lifeline. It's how the audience feels the tension or the coming together or whatever dynamics are playing out in the relationships among characters. In Zoom, nothing. So, in Zoom, relationships acted out were more pretend. And if there's anything we know about theater, it is this. Audiences are allergic to fake life. Theater really comes alive when we forget that we're in the theater, when we are convinced that what we are watching unfold in front of us is something connected to real life. It doesn't have to be a facsimile of real life, but it has to be rooted in authentic human connection, human behavior, human psychology. So I decided in the spring of 2020 that I wanted to do something to encourage playwrights everywhere to invest more time and attention in monologue. Why? Because it seems to me that monologue is the only form of theatrical expression that cannot be degraded by Zoom, because it does not require eye contact. So I founded the Hear Me Out monologue competition. The first year, we announced the theme of the competition would be me and my masks. As you may recall, in 2020, masks became a thing of controversy. They became a way of labeling people, of identifying people. But of course, masks have many meanings in our lives, and so we got about 400 entries from all over the world. They were stunning and inspiring and just challenging and exciting and funny and dark and loving. And I think that first year, they reminded our audience that we are all still human. The second year, the theme was borders. And I remember one of our finalist judges commenting about the number of very hostile monologues and wondering if the topic of borders had somehow inspired some kind of a strange territorial selfishness in the creative output of these writers. But anyway, hear me out. What it has come to mean in many ways to the writers, to the actors, to the audiences, and to all of us who toggle among those three roles, I think it has come to represent a kind of way of reasserting the essential ingredients of theater. And what are those? I think the essential ingredients of theater are simply this: characters who want something fiercely, and a kind of a pursuit of whatever that is, presented by actors in the presence of a live audience. And that's the last discovery that I made during the pandemic. And that was simply this: that theater is not theater until you have a live audience responding in real time. When you are on stage performing a wonderful play, the story as it unfolds, the relationships among the characters, all of that is colored and influenced and nudged here and there by the way the audience responds vocally, the way that we hear the breathing change, the way that we hear the laughter or the sighing or the guffawing or the sneering or the applauding. It's also true for the audience. The audience needs to hear itself. We need to hear each other in order to make sense of what is unfolding before us. You know, a couple of times I was invited to perform during the pandemic in a Zoom webinar. Now, a Zoom webinar, generally speaking, everybody has no access to their camera or microphone, except the performers. And so it is such a strange, disorienting feeling to perform a monologue into dead silence. And it feels wrong, and it feels incomplete. So really, I think the final discovery of Hear Me Out was the importance of the audience. And that is why we have at each Hear Me Out festival, 100 tickets are reserved for people who will show up and have access to their camera and microphone and keep their camera and microphone on for most of the night, so that we feel that whatever is unfolding before us is a shared experience. And that has really been, I think, what has kept so many writers engaged with the Hear Me Out experiment. And I'm hopeful that as we move gradually to more and more opportunities to return to live theater as it used to be before COVID, I do hope that the audiences and the artists will want to stay connected to this unique venue that we discovered, created on Zoom. And I hope that you will join me and join us. We have some phenomenal monologues on this new on the third annual festival. It's broken up into 2 nights. They were so wonderful. And the theme of this festival is When We Name It. So I hope to see you November 25th. That's the Friday after Thanksgiving. And then again on Monday, December 5th. Thank you.